Hey everybody, welcome back to the Carryandcut YouTube channel. And if you're new here, I sure do appreciate you stopping by and watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment down below. Also check out our Instagram at Carryandcut and our Patreon at Carryandcut. Really do appreciate all the support of the Patreon. All the proceeds go directly back into the channel to buy new knives and new equipment to hopefully make the quality and the content better for you guys. So today we're going to be looking at the Kansept Korvid XL. And before we get into it, I just want to say, a huge shout out to everybody that's going to be coming back to watch this video. I know I've kind of been on a little bit of a hiatus or a break, if you will, if that's what you want to call it. It's been a couple days since I've uploaded anything, and it's because I have been super crazy at work. It's been swamped, and we have been working really long hours, so almost 70 hours in a week. You don't get much time for any, other than your family and everything else. That's about all you get into. So I'm finally here. Let's hopefully we can get back into making some videos, and I definitely want to show this one off first. So I really want to give Kansept a huge shout out for sending this over my way. They actually sent this to us for us to take a look at, and they sent me the mini Korvid, and I wasn't too impressed with that one. I said, I want to see something a little bit bigger, and this is what they gave us. So it's definitely pretty breathtaking. I've never seen this knife until just now, and we get some size comparisons going. You'll really appreciate the size and stature of this knife. It is a giant hunk of metal. And to see the reactions of people that, when I show them this knife, it's just really funny. I took it to work with me, and nobody could, well, of course, they couldn't believe it. It's kind of crazy, to pull out of your pocket and flip this thing open and see that giant chunk of steel flying out at you. And for it being that giant chunk of steel, this thing does have pretty great action. I know that the blade is super heavy, so it just has some pretty good fall shut action. And with that being said, it does have ceramic ball bearings in the pivot, so that is definitely helping that somewhat. This thing has not been lubed up in anything like that. It's just right from the factory, and it's definitely pretty cool. So let's go ahead and dive right into this thing. What do we got going on here? So this is a Coke Tools design, one of their own designs, and they have all different sizes of this one and variations. Of course, they have the mini one. I have showed that on the channel previously. If you guys missed that one, it's a tiny little inky dinky knife, about like that much of this thing. And they do have a medium size. Never have messed with the medium one yet. But then we have the XL, and that's the one we're looking at right now. So the Kansept Korvid XL. The first thing that definitely strikes your appearance is look how big this thing is. But it does have that awesome cleaver blade shape style. I know I'm kind of like late to the party for the cleaver scene, I guess you could say, but they definitely did take the knife community by storm for a while. I know the cleaver blade shape really was a good thing for the knife industry in general. A lot of people like carrying them, and they are very practical. They make for good heavy duty utility cutters. You can really get some powerful cuts done with them, and this thing does come down, for being such a thick blade, it does come down to a pretty screaming sharp edge, and this thing is a decent enough slicer for what it is. You're definitely gonna get some material trapped up in here, but it's definitely not something I would carry every single day of my life, but it is pretty cool to be able to whip out and show somebody. So this thing is definitely a crowd pleaser, I guess, if you will. So we got 154 cm for the blade steel. I know Kansept does a very good job with their 154 cm, and it is an excellent blade steel, especially for something like this. It's got pretty good toughness, but has excellent edge retention, and corrosion resistance is very good. And I think their Rockwell hardness on this was 58 to 60 is what they're trying to get, which is right in range of what you want to see for 154 cm. Blade width, your actual blade stock thickness is coming to 137 thousandths, what it says on the website. I know I'm still rocking my old calipers, but we got 130 thousandths right there, almost 140. So it's definitely thick stuff. You're over 1/8 of an inch thick on your blade stock right there. So this thing is definitely going to be rough and tough. We do have a pretty high flat grind on this thing, trying to keep it nice and slicey as good as it can, and they even kind of taper down the tip, if you guys can see that right there. Of course, this is not going to be a stabby knife whatsoever, but we do have a pretty pronounced tip, I guess you can say, on it, if you guys can see that right there. So you're not going to be able, you could do some kind of utility cutting down if you really get into it. I guess you could get all the way down in here, but the main thing is it's just that giant hunkin' chunkin' of a knife. We have these real ergonomic big G10 handles on this thing. Scales, not handles, but scales in the actual knife. We got really thick liners, and they do have some internal weight relieving, some holes cut in there. So when I'm gonna do a just simply a maintenance video on this knife here in the next video, and we'll dive into this thing, tear it all apart, and see what we got going on. We got some nice standoffs going on in the back there. We do have this real aggressive spoon style type of clip on this thing. We do not have flush head screws. That's not mounted into the scale, but it's still a pretty nice clip. It doesn't have the greatest retention for exactly what it is, but I mean, you're paying, it's under $100. That's a pretty, you know, important part here. $88 for this knife on Amazon, and this one is actually not available anymore. Couldn't find it on there, and it was on there previously, so this thing still does have some traction going on. People are still buying these knives, but it's definitely pretty cool. I'm definitely a fan of this thing. We do have, I'm going to go with 3 methods of deployment on this thing. Of course, we have our traditional flipper tab, but it's a lot of blade to get flipping out. So, I mean, it does have great action, but you got to put a little bit of effort into it, and you can fail it sometimes. So you really got to put a, you know, distinct light switch flick, if you want to call it that. And we also do have the thumb studs, of course, which it's easy to fail that one too, kind of, unless you're really deliberate with it. And your finger can sometimes get caught in that flipper tab, so you got to make sure your finger's out of the way. So that's one thing. And then my favorite is going to be the reverse flick with that giant fuller they got going on there. You know, that is a very aggressive fuller on that thing, and it makes it, you know, very easily. And heck, you could probably even thumb roll it like that too. So, but yep, my favorite is going to be that reverse flick with the middle finger on the back side. Love that. And we do have, you know, the awesome black washed black. I don't even know what kind of coating this is. I think it's a TICN. I'm not really sure what that stands for. If you guys could tell me down in the comment section below, it's kind of a new guy thing to not know what all these blade coatings are, but you just kind of go down a rabbit hole with them, and with actually not knowing what they are, it's kind of hard to tell. So overall, I think this knife is pretty cool, especially for the price point. You know, you're getting a whole lot of materials here for less than $100. You know, 88 bucks. You're getting, how wide is this, even this blade? And I mean, you're almost, you're over 2 inches wide, right at 2 inches wide on the thickest part of this blade. So that is just a honking, chonking, you know, amount of material that they're giving you for this price, especially 154 cm. You know, that's definitely not as cheap as D2, and they're still giving you like a very good price point with this thing too. So let's go ahead and get an overall size of this knife right here. We are coming in at dang near 9 inches, so about 8 3/4 of an inch total, and that is from tip to the butt of the scale there. We are looking at I'm going to say 3 1/3 inches. This is 3.55 on the actual blade length. So, I mean, I guess it is 3. It is more than 3.5 if you're going all the way back here. But the actual sharpened edge is just maybe 3 1/8, something like that. Yeah, we'll go 3 1/8 on the sharpened edge. And that's thanks to this giant, enormous finger twirl you have there. So we didn't really go over the ergonomics of it. I mean, you could chop this thing. You know, you could, heck, you could debone I don't know what you could debone, but you could definitely chop up a steak with this thing. You know, like, it's kind of like that meat cleaver-esque style going on with this thing. But I do like all the, you know, different options you can get into with this thing. I really do like that forward finger twirl on it. You can really get down there. You know, you can even do some whittling with this thing. Of course, not the best slicer in the world, but, you know, to be expected. This is not the primary intended goal for something like this. So let's go ahead and get the this is Carryandcur kitchen scale out, which, you know, now I got it all tatted up, it's definitely going to be our own. So let's see, we're zeroed out. Let's throw this thing right down on here. So 8.4 ounces. This thing is definitely not in the lightweight category whatsoever. Definitely blowing your ounce per inch out of the water with this knife, but, you know, to be expected. It is XL, and it takes everything from that, you know. So you're definitely getting, you know, a lot of bang for your buck with something like this. But then, you know, you're talking about your carry profile, so, you know, that's really important to some people. Some people like to carry small knives, such as this Vosteed Mini Labrador. And, you know, this thing, you don't even feel it in your pocket. It is tiny. I mean, look, this thing swallows the whole entire, from whatever's exposed on the blade pretty much on this thing. So when this thing is in your pocket, you can definitely feel it in there. Another thing that I was, you know, kind of intrigued by when you have this thing in your pocket, and, of course, pocket side down, which would be obviously this way, it seems to get caught on like the hem of my pocket and wants to open up as I'm deploying it, kind of like an Emerson wave type style thing. Not really sure what's going on there, but I think it's just because it's so big. But let's go ahead and do some overall size comparisons here. So there we have our Mini Labrador. I mean, I know a lot of people probably aren't too familiar with this thing, but that is a you know, a small mini knife. Let's go ahead and do the Spyderco Delica. So swallows that thing whole. Not even a comparison there. How about the Benchmade 940? That is definitely something as people are definitely used to seeing how big that knife is. And let's go over the PM2. We're definitely stepping up in size as we go. And I guess overall length is, you know, really the same as the PM2, maybe a hair bigger, but the carry profile is just ginormous. And people say this knife takes up a lot of room in your pocket because this, you know, aggressive amount of blade for the opening hole, but still nothing even close. Let's look at the new Kansept egress. If you guys missed the video on this one, make sure you check that one out. We'll be doing a writ die on this one also coming up too. So we're pretty close in size right there. Really liking this one. I mean, that action. Love that middle finger flick, reverse flick. Top flipper works excellent on this knife. This is a great one. And then let's look at the Benchmade Presidio 2. So there we go. Now we're, you know, getting into the range of another really hard used knife. And this one is actually bigger. I'm going to say bigger than the Korvid XL, but of course it's not, you know, near the same width. So this thing is definitely way more of a overbuilt. I'm going to say it's overbuilt. You know, it's a liner lock. It does have great lockup on it too, so you can't really forget that. Liner locks are, you know, inherently safe in nature, so I have no problems with, you know, hard using this thing, beating on it. Of course, you're not going to be chopping down trees or chopping through cinder blocks, but, you know, the real main reason behind this knife is kind of a, not a show or a toy or anything like that, but it's just a pretty cool thing. So I just want to give a huge shout out to Kansept for sending this over to us. And of course, this was a free knife that they gave to us. So I'm trying to give it, you know, the most, you know, unbiased opinion that I can. You know, I really do appreciate them helping out the channel. And I was definitely not in favor of the mini one. And I do like this one way more than the mini one. And I'm definitely excited to see more of the offerings that Kansept, you know, has in their lineup. So if you guys would, make sure you like and subscribe, leave a comment down below. I sure do appreciate it. And have a nice day.